The stars hung like cold knives in the void, their light slicing through the scarred viewport of the Iron Veil, a warship forged in Earth's dying days. The bridge was a crypt of silence, broken only by the low thrum of ancient reactors and the mournful ping of sensors sweeping the dark. No crew walked these halls, no voices challenged the stillness. Commander Zara Cade stood alone, her shadow sharp against the console's faint glow, her breath a steady rhythm in the stale air. The Iron Veil was no sleek galactic cruiser. It was a beast, a brutal slab of armor and vengeance, its hull pitted with scars from battles the galaxy had tried to forget. It groaned like a predator stirring from a long sleep, and Zara, last of Earth's unbroken, felt its pulse in her bones. She was not here by chance. A signal had called her, raw and unencrypted, slipping through a dead relay. Earth's truth lies. Answer now. 5 words, no origin, no promise, just a whisper from a past the galaxy swore was dust. Earth had fallen 40 years ago, betrayed by the Voran Ascendancy, a coalition of star-spanning empires that branded humanity a threat to cosmic order. They'd called Earth's wars chaos, its ambition poison, and when the bombs fell, they watched, silent, then scavenged the ruins. Zara had been there, a child in a Martian vault, cryosleep her only shield as the skies burned. When she woke, Earth was gone, its name a curse, its people erased from the galactic ledger. The Ascendancy had built their peace on that grave, but Zara was no mourner. She was a blade, honed by loss, and the Iron Veil was her edge. The signal had given her a target, Voran Prime, the Ascendancy's heart, a world of crystal spires and lies. She didn't know who sent it, didn't care. It was enough to move, to strike, to make them remember what it cost to bury a world. The Iron Veil crossed into Ascendancy space, its sensors alive with the chatter of automated defenses. Drones swarmed, their scans locking onto the ship's signature, a relic that shouldn't exist. A synthetic voice crackled through the comms. Unidentified vessel, halt. Declare intent or be annihilated. Zara didn't answer. She leaned back in the pilot's chair, her hands scarred from years of war, and let the ship speak. The Iron Veil surged forward, no cloak, no subtlety, its presence a deliberate scar across the Ascendancy's order. Alarms screamed across their network, stations flaring, fleets scrambling. The Iron Veil was a name unspoken since the fall, when it had turned the Ascendancy's third armada to ash in a battle no one dared record. Now it was back, and Zara was its will. On Voran Prime, High Consul Vrenthal stared at a hollow display, his face a mask of disbelief as the pings multiplied. One ship, an aide stammered. A ghost, nothing more. Vren's voice was ice, heavy with dread. That's no ghost. That's the Iron Veil. The ship that burned the Clyde Expanse. The ship that cracked Torva's core. He turned, his eyes haunted. Earth didn't die. It's been waiting. The room fell silent, officers frozen, because they knew. The Ascendancy had built its empire on Earth's bones, but bones could rise. Zara's fingers brushed a faded hollow frame on the console, her parents, her brother, Earth's green hills behind them. She didn't look at it, didn't need to. The image was her pulse, her rage, her reason. She wasn't here for peace, not for redemption. She was here to make the Ascendancy bleed. The Iron Veil's weapons hummed, waking from their long sleep, and Zara whispered to the void, time to pay. The first strike was a wound. The Iron Veil unleashed a salvo of Voidlance warheads, their trails blazing like comets across the black. They didn't target ships, they hit the Ascendancy's comm relays, the veins of their control. The warheads detonated in silent blooms, shredding hubs, deafening entire sectors. Zara had pulled the ship's targeting data from Earth's last archives, maps of Ascendancy weaknesses buried in forgotten vaults. The Iron Veil's AI, old but vicious, had spent decades refining those plans, running simulations in the dark. It wasn't just a machine, it was a hunter, like her, and it knew how to kill. Chaos erupted. Ascendancy outposts went silent, their networks choking on static. On fringe worlds, whispers spread of a Terran warship, risen from myth. Some mocked it as a lie, others prayed, remembering Earth's wrath. Zara didn't care what they believed. She steered the Iron Veil deeper, dodging patrols with a precision that felt like fate. The ship was her blood now, its sensors her eyes, its guns her teeth. Every move screamed, you didn't end us. A ping shattered her focus, an encrypted signal, Terran protocol, impossibly old. Her hand hovered over the comms, wary. No one should know this code. Not anymore. She opened the channel, and a voice crackled through, rough but unmistakable. Cade, you still breathing? Zara's chest tightened. She knew that voice. Jor Rin, her squad's tech during the fall, presumed dead when their bunker burned. Jor, she said, her voice steady despite the storm in her gut. How the hell are you alive? A pause, then his answer, bitter as ash. Same as you. Buried. Broken. But I didn't stay down. He was on Calyx, 3, an Ascendancy prison world, deep in their territory. They took me after the fall, he said. Used me to crack Terran systems, to erase what was left. I've been feeding them lies, slowing their purges. When I saw your signal, I knew it was you. Zara's jaw clenched. I'm not here to save anyone, Jor. I'm here to burn them. His laugh was hollow. Then let me stoke the fire. He sent a data burst, ascendancy troop movements, shield codes, a map to Vorin Prime's core. It was too perfect, too convenient, but Zara didn't have time for doubt. She locked the coordinates and pushed the Iron Veil forward, the stars blurring as she dove toward vengeance. The Iron Veil carved through ascendancy space like a plague, its path a trail of shattered drones and silent stations. Zara followed Jor's map, slipping through gaps in their defenses, old smuggling routes, abandoned asteroid fields, places their pride had left unguarded. The ship took hits, its hull groaning under plasma barges, but it held. It always held. Zara's mind was half in the present, half in the memories that clawed at her. Earth's last days, cities choking on ash, her brother's voice fading in the static. The Ascendancy had watched, done nothing, then claimed the spoils. Now they'd answer for it. Vorin Prime loomed on the sensors, a fortress world wrapped in shields and lies. Its orbit bristled with dreadnoughts, its surface a maze of spires and cannons. Jor's voice crackled through again. You're close, Cade. They're mobilizing everything. Thal's in the central spire, calling the shots. Zara's lips twitched, not a smile but a predator's baring of teeth. Vrin Thal, the architect of Earth's betrayal, the one who'd signed the order to abandon her world. He's mine, she said, and Jor didn't argue. The Iron Veil dropped out of warp, its arrival a shockwave that rattled Ascendancy defenses. Cannons roared, missiles streaked, but the ship's countermeasures, ancient, brutal, turned the sky into a graveyard of fire. Zara fired back, void lances cutting through cruisers like flesh. The Iron Veil wasn't built for grace. It was built to shatter, and it did. A dreadnought, bold enough to close the gap, vanished in a pulse of light, its wreckage raining on the planet below. Zara didn't blink. She aimed for the spire, Thal's throne, and let the Iron Veil roar. On Vorin Prime, panic choked the command center. Thal stood before a holomap, his face calm, but his hands trembling as reports flooded in. One ship, an officer stammered. How? Thal's voice was ice. Because it's her. He'd known Zara Cade, fought her in the Rim Wars, seen her turn tides with nothing but rage and will. He'd thought her dead, like Earth. He'd been wrong. Jor's voice sparked again, urgent. They're moving civilians into the spire, Cade. Shields for Thal. Don't let him hide. Zara's grip tightened on the controls. The Ascendancy's playbook. Use the innocent, twist the truth. She could fire, level the spire, end Thal now. But the cost? Children, workers, lives that didn't deserve her wrath. She redirected the lances, targeting Thal's private citadel instead, a monument to his hubris. The beam hit, and the horizon burned, a wound the Ascendancy couldn't hide. The Iron Veil landed, its hull crushing a defense outpost as it settled into the capital's core. Zara stepped out, armored in patched Terran gear, a plasma rifle in one hand, a thermal blade in the other. The city was chaos, sirens, smoke, civilians fleeing. She moved like a shadow, Jor's signal guiding her to the spire's underbelly. He was there, waiting, older, scarred, but unmistakably him. You look like death, she said. He grinned, blood on his teeth. You look like war. They descended into the spire's depths, a labyrinth of crystal and lies. The walls gleamed with Ascendancy propaganda, odes to unity, progress, the cleansing of Earth's chaos. Zara's stomach churned, but she kept moving, Jor at her side, his limp slowing him but not stopping him. Thal's in the core bunker, he said, checking a stolen scanner. Biometric lock, his blood only. Zara's eyes narrowed. Then we'll take it. Resistance came fast, Ascendancy elites, their armor shimmering, their weapons cutting edge. Zara and Jor fought like ghosts, her rifle burning through plating, his knives finding joints and throats. The Iron Veil's AI, linked to her HUD, fed her targets, its voice a cold whisper. They betrayed you. End them. She did, body after body, until the halls ran red. Jor took a hit, plasma searing his arm, but he waved her off. Keep going. I've got you. The bunker door loomed, a slab of crystal and arrogance. Zara pressed her hand to the scanner. Nothing. She planted charges, Jor covering her, his breathing ragged. The explosion tore the door apart, and they stepped through, smoke curling around them. Vrin Thal waited inside, alone, a pistol in his hand, his face calm but his eyes wild. Cade, he said, like they were allies. You should have stayed buried. Zara's blade hummed. You should have finished us. Thal laughed, bitter, broken. Earth was a plague. I saved the galaxy. Zara stepped closer, her voice low. You saved yourself. He fired, the bolt grazing her shoulder, but she was faster, slamming him against the wall, her blade at his throat. Jor limped forward, his knife ready. End it, Cade. But Zara hesitated. Killing Thal here, in secret, was too small. She wanted more than his blood. She wanted his lie exposed. She dragged him to a console, forcing his hand onto the override panel. The Spire's broadcast system flared to life, hijacking every screen, every feed in Ascendancy space. Zara faced the camera, Thal's bloodied face beside her. This is the truth, she said, her voice steel. The Ascendancy betrayed Earth, left us to burn, and called it order. This man led the lie. Now you see him. She let the galaxy watch Thal break, his defiance crumbling, his legacy ash. Then she drove the blade home. The broadcast didn't stop. The Iron Veil's AI, freed by the override, flooded the Ascendancy's networks with Earth's lost archives, proof of the betrayal, the purges, the deals that doomed a world. Planets froze, citizens staring at screens, soldiers lowering weapons. The Ascendancy's myth of unity cracked, its leaders exposed. Zara and Jor fought their way out, the spire collapsing around them, fire and crystal raining down. The Iron Veil waited, wounded but defiant, its ramp open like a promise. They boarded, Jor half-carried, the ship system sparking. Zara took the helm, her hands steady despite the blood on them. "We're not done," Jor said, his voice weak but fierce. She nodded. The Iron Veil rose, punching through the atmosphere, Ascendancy ships too stunned to pursue. The AI's voice filled the bridge. "Final command?" Zara looked at Jor, then at the stars. "Jump. Anywhere but here." The ship vanished, a ghost in the void. The Iron Veil hid in the Veil Nebula, a chaos of gas and broken stars where sensors drowned in static. Its hull was scarred, its systems failing, but it held together, like Zara. She hadn't slept in days, hadn't stopped moving. Jor was recovering, his wounds bandaged, his spirit unbroken. The broadcast had changed everything. Ascendancy fleets were in disarray, their leaders scrambling to contain the truth. But the truth was alive now, spreading through data streams. Whispered in markets, carved into hulls. Zara felt it, a weight lifting, not gone but lighter. A new signal came, faint, Terran-coded. She traced it to a dead colony, Torva, 9, once Earth's, now a ruin. Could be a trap, Jor warned, his voice hoarse. Zara's lips twitched. Could be hope. They jumped, the Iron Veil groaning but obeying. Torva, 9 was a wasteland, its skies black, its cities dust. But beneath the surface, in bunkers like the one that saved Zara, survivors waited, humans, hybrids, exiles who'd never forgotten. Their leader was a woman, Syl, her eyes sharp as knives. "We saw your signal," she said. "We heard the truth." Zara studied her, wary but curious. "And now?" Syl's smile was grim. "Now we fight. Not for Earth, but for what it could have been." The Iron Veil became a beacon, drawing others, ships, fighters, ghosts of a lost world. Zara wasn't a leader, didn't want to be, but they looked to her, and she didn't turn away. The war wasn't loud, not at first. It was signals, sabotage, strikes in the dark. The Iron Veil led raids on Ascendancy outposts, freeing prisoners, stealing data, spreading the truth. Jor healed, his knives sharper, his faith in Zara absolute. Syl's people grew, their network stretching across systems. The Ascendancy fought back, its sense relentless, its propaganda desperate. But doubt had taken root, and no fleet could kill an idea. Zara stood on the Iron Veil's bridge, the stars steady now, her purpose clear. She wasn't fighting for a grave anymore. She was fighting for a future, one the Ascendancy couldn't steal. The Iron Veil jumped again, its next target an Ascendancy archive, a vault of lies waiting to burn. Zara's hand rested on the hollow frame. Her family's faces faded but not forgotten. "For you," she whispered, and the stars answered with silence, vast and alive. The Iron Veil slipped through the Veil Nebula's chaos, its cloak flickering but holding as it approached Torva 9's orbit. Zara stood at the helm, her eyes locked on the sensors, where Syl's signal pulsed from the planet's core. The coordinates led to a buried fortress, one of Earth's last stands, hidden beneath a crust of ash and betrayal. The ship's reactors groaned, straining under the damage from Vorin Prime, but they held, driven by the same fire that kept Zara moving. Jor sat nearby, his arm braced, his knives laid out like a prayer. He didn't speak, didn't need to. The air between them was thick with unspoken trust, forged in blood and ruin. The Iron Veil's AI, its voice a low growl, plotted their descent, warning of Ascendancy patrols closing in. Zara ignored it. She'd come too far to flinch now. Torva, 9 was a tomb, its surface scarred by kinetic strikes from the fall. The Iron Veil landed in a ravine, its thrusters kicking up clouds of black dust that hung in the thin air like specters. Zara and Jor suited up, their armor patched but lethal, their weapons charged. Syl met them at the ramp, her silhouette stark against the dead horizon. Behind her, a dozen figures waited, humans, some with cybernetic grafts, others with eyes that burned with biomots. Survivors, like Zara, but shaped by years of hiding. "You're late," Syl said, her voice dry but warm. Zara's lips twitched. "Blame the Ascendancy. They hate uninvited guests." The fortress was a maze of tunnels, reinforced with Terran alloy, its walls etched with faded sigils of Earth's resistance. Syl led them through, her step sure, her people silent but vigilant. "This was a sanctuary," she explained, her voice echoing in the dark. "Built before the fall, when Earth knew the Ascendancy was turning. Most didn't make it here." Zara's chest tightened, memories of those final days clawing at her screams, static, the silence when the signals died. "Why now?" she asked. Syl glanced back, her eyes glinting. "Because of you. Your broadcast woke us. The truth's out, Cade. We're done hiding." They reached a chamber, vast and cold, lit by flickering holoscreens. At its center was a console, ancient but alive, its data streams pulsing like a heartbeat. This is what's left, Syl said, her hand brushing the controls. Earth's archives, weapons, plans, proof of what the Ascendancy did. We've been guarding it, waiting. Jor limped forward, his gaze sharp. Waiting for what? Syl's smile was a blade. For someone to wield it. Zara felt the weight of her words, heavier than the Iron Veil's hull. She wasn't just a soldier now, she was a spark, and Syl's people were ready to ignite. The reunion was cut short by a tremor, the ground shaking as alarms blared. Ascendancy, Syl spat, checking a scanner. They tracked your jump. Zara's jaw clenched. The Iron Veil was a beacon, its every move a wound the Ascendancy couldn't ignore. She turned to Jor. Get the ship ready. He nodded, already moving, his limp barely slowing him. Syl's people armed themselves, their weapons a mix of salvaged Terran tech and stolen Ascendancy gear. Zara followed Syl to a command post, where holomaps showed Ascendancy dropships descending, their signatures cold and precise. Since, Zara muttered, they don't want prisoners. Syl's eyes met hers. Then we don't give them any. The battle was brutal, fast. Ascendancy synths hit the fortress like a plague, their blades flashing, their armor shrugging off plasma. Zara fought at the tunnel's mouth, her rifle burning, her thermal blade carving through synthetic flesh. Syl's people were fierce, their rage a match for the machines, but they were outnumbered. Jor's voice crackled through her comms. Iron Veil is hot. Move. Zara glanced at Syl, who was bleeding but unbowed, her rifle still firing. The archives, Zara said. We can't lose them. Syl nodded, tossing her a data cylinder. Got a copy. Go. They fell back, the tunnels collapsing behind them, dust and fire choking the air. Zara carried the cylinder, its weight heavier than steel, its contents a map to the Ascendancy's end. The Iron Veil roared as they boarded, its ramp closing just as synths breached the ravine. Jor was at the helm, his hands steady despite the pain in his eyes. Where to? He asked. Zara plugged the cylinder into the console, its data lighting up the NAV grid, coordinates, targets, a network of Ascendancy weaknesses. Somewhere they can't bury this, she said. The Iron Veil jumped, the stars blurring, Torva, 9, burning behind them. The Iron Veil drifted in the Klein void, a stretch of space where black holes whispered and sensors failed. The ship was wounded, its starboard thrusters offline, its hull leaking air. Zara worked in the engine bay, her hands black with grease, her mind racing. The cylinder's data was a goldmine, locations of Ascendancy black sites, AI hubs, even the schematics for their planetary shields. But it was also a death sentence. The Ascendancy would hunt them to the galaxy's edge to keep this buried. Jor joined her, his arm braced, his knife sheathed but ready. Syl's people, he said. They're out there, spreading the word. Zara nodded, wiping her hands. Good. We'll need them. A new signal came, faint, coded in Terran protocol. Zara traced it to a rogue station in the Telvar Belt, a haven for smugglers and exiles. Could be a trap? Jor asked, his voice wary. Zara's eyes narrowed. Maybe. But we're out of options. The Iron Veil limped to the station, its cloak barely holding. The Telvar Belt was a chaos of asteroids and derelict ships, a perfect hiding place but a lousy battlefield. The station was a patchwork of salvaged hulls, its docks crawling with mercenaries and black market techs. Their contact, a cyborg named Vex, met them in a crowded bar, his optic glowing as he scanned the cylinder. This is bigger than you think, he said, his voice a low rasp. The Ascendancy's locking down systems. You've got a week, maybe less, before they trace you. Zara's jaw tightened. Then we move fast. Vex's deal was simple. He'd copy the data, spread it through the Belt's networks, and give the Iron Veil repairs and a new cloaking mod. In return, he wanted a cut of the chaos, access to the Ascendancy's black sites for his own raids. Zara didn't trust him, but trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. While Vex's techs worked, she and Jor scouted the station, their eyes sharp for betrayal. The Belt was a powder keg, its people hungry for a fight but loyal to no one. Zara felt the cylinder's weight in her pocket. Its data, a bomb waiting to detonate. The ambush came at midnight, station time. Ascendancy synths stormed the docks, their stealth cloaks failing in the Belt's chaotic EM fields. Zara and Jor fought their way to the Iron Veil. Vex's betrayal clear in the bodies of his own men, cut down to cover his escape. The station burned, its markets collapsing as civilians fled. Zara's rifle was molten by the time they reached the ship, Jor dragging a wounded arm, his knives slick with synthetic blood. The Iron Veil launched, its new cloak flickering but holding, the Belt a firestorm behind them. Vex got the data, Jor said, his voice grim. Zara nodded, her hands steady on the controls. Then we make sure it spreads. The Iron Veil hid in the shadow of a gas giant, its rings a veil against Ascendancy scans. Zara pored over the cylinder's data, her eyes burning from lack of sleep. The archives detailed the Ascendancy's sins, experiments on human colonies, purges of dissident worlds, AI-driven genocides masked as accidents. But they also held hope, locations of other Terran bunkers, scattered across the galaxy, waiting to be woken. Jor watched her, his silence heavy. You're planning something reckless, he said finally. Zara's lips twitched. Reckless is all we've got. Her plan was a broadcast, not just to the belt, but to every system, every screen, every mind. The Iron Veil's AI could amplify the signal, hijack ascendancy relays, make the truth unstoppable. But it needed a hub, a central node to bypass their firewalls. The data pointed to one, Nexus 7, an ascendancy AI fortress orbiting a dead star. It was suicide, defended by fleets, shielded by tech that could fry the Iron Veil in seconds. But it was the only way. We hit Nexus 7, Zara said, her voice steel. We burned their lies to the ground. Jor didn't argue. He just sharpened his knives. They rallied Syl's network, now calling themselves the Unbroken. Ships gathered in the gas giant's shadow, scavenged fighters, patched freighters, even a rogue ascendancy corvette stolen by defectors. Syl joined them via Hollow, her face gaunt but fierce. We're ready, she said. But Nexus 7's a death trap. You sure? Zara met her gaze. I'm sure. The Unbroken weren't an army, not yet, but they were angry, and anger was enough. The Iron Veil led the charge, its cloak holding as they jumped to Nexus 7's system. The dead star's glow a cold warning. The battle was chaos. Ascendancy fleets met them in orbit, their cruisers dwarfing the Unbroken's ragtag flotilla. The Iron Veil danced through the fire, Zara's piloting surgical, her lances carving holes in enemy hulls. Syl's ships drew attention, their sacrifice buying time. Zara and Jor boarded Nexus 7, their suits patched, their weapons hot. The station was a maze of sterile halls and humming AI cores, its sense relentless. They fought through, Zara's rifle overheating, Jor's knives a blur, until they reached the central hub, a chamber of light and code, its AI a sentient storm. Zara plugged in the cylinder, and the Iron Veil's AI went to war. The hub's defenses screamed, code lashing like a living thing, but the Terran AI was older, hungrier. It tore through, broadcasting the archives, every sin, every lie, every scream, across the galaxy. Planets stopped, fleets hesitated, and the Ascendancy's myth of order shattered. Zara and Jor barely escaped, the hub collapsing, their suits breached, their blood mixing with the station's ash. The Iron Veil caught them, its ramp a lifeline, and they jumped, Nexus 7 a dying star behind them. The broadcast was a wildfire. Ascendancy worlds erupted, riots in their capitals, defections in their fleets, archives opened by hackers and exiles. The Unbroken grew, their ships now a fleet, their name a rallying cry. The Iron Veil drifted in the outer reach, its repairs makeshift, its crew, Zara, Jor, and a handful of Syl's best, exhausted but unbroken. Zara stood at the viewport, the cylinder dark now, its data free. The Ascendancy wasn't dead, but it was bleeding, its leaders exposed, its power fraying. A new signal came, Terran-coded, from a bunker on Varn 5, another lost colony. Zara traced it, her heart heavy. Another trap? Jor asked, his voice rough. Zara shook her head. Another chance. The Iron Veil jumped, Varn 5 a frozen world of ice and secrets. The bunker was intact, its occupants a mix of humans and hybrids, their leader a scientist named Kale, his eyes glowing with neural implants. We've been waiting, he said, his voice soft but fierce. Your broadcast reached us. We're ready to fight. Zara studied him, seeing her own rage mirrored back. Then let's fight. The bunker held weapons, Terran prototypes, banned by the Ascendancy, capable of cracking shields and melting hulls. Kale's people joined the Unbroken, their tech a game changer. Zara felt the tide turning, not to victory but to possibility. The Iron Veil became a hub, coordinating strikes, spreading the truth. Jor trained recruits, his knives a lesson in survival. Syl's fleet hit Ascendancy supply lines, starving their fortresses. Zara planned the next move, a strike on Vorin Prime's secondary hub, a data vault that could cripple their command structure. The war grew louder, no longer shadows but open battles. The Iron Veil led a raid on the vault, its cloaking now stable, its lances sharper with Kale's upgrades. Zara fought on the ground, her blade a storm, Jor at her side, their synergy lethal. The vault fell, its data, orders, plans, proof of ongoing purges, sent to every system. The Ascendancy retaliated, their synths smarter, their fleets desperate. The Iron Veil took hits, its hull buckling, but it held, a symbol of defiance. Zara stood in the wreckage, blood on her face, the stars burning behind her. We're not done, she said, and Jor nodded, his knives ready. The Unbroken's momentum grew, their raids a drumbeat the Ascendancy couldn't silence. The Iron Veil was their heart, its bridge a war room where Zara, Jor, Syl, and Kale planned the endgame. The Ascendancy's core worlds were cracking, citizens defecting, soldiers abandoning posts, leaders fleeing to bunkers. But the enemy wasn't broken. A new signal warned of a counterstrike, an Ascendancy superweapon, codenamed Ecliptic Dawn, designed to erase entire systems. Its location was Calyx 3, the prison world where Jor had been held. Zara didn't hesitate. We at Calyx 3. We end this. The Iron Veil led the Unbroken's full fleet, a patchwork armada of fury and hope. Calyx 3 was a fortress, its skies thick with drones, its surface a maze of camps and labs. The Ecliptic Dawn was a planetary cannon, its core buried deep, guarded by an AI that rivaled the Iron Veils. Zara landed with Jor, Syl, and Kale, their team a blade aimed at the weapon's heart. The battle was hell since swarmed, drones screamed, and the AI fought with code and steel. They reached the core, a chamber of light and death, the Ecliptic Dawn's cannon charging, its target the Unbroken's home systems. Zara faced the AI, her cylinder linked to the Iron Veil's systems, Kale's tech amplifying its power. The AI was a god, its voice shaking the chamber. "You cannot unmake order," it said. Zara's eyes burned. "Watch us." The Iron Veil's AI struck, a digital titan, tearing through the Ecliptic Dawn's defenses. Zara and Kale shut down the cannon, Jor and Syl holding the line, their blood painting the floor. The chamber collapsed, the Ecliptic Dawn silent, Calyx 3 a tomb. The Iron Veil barely escaped, its hull breached, its crew battered. The Unbroken won, but the cost was heavy. Syl wounded, half their ships gone. Zara stood on the bridge, the stars quiet, her hands trembling. "We stopped it," Jor said, his voice raw. Zara nodded, but her eyes were on the horizon. "They'll try again." The Ascendancy was wounded, but not dead. The war wasn't over, but it was theirs now, a fight for truth, for memory, for a galaxy that remembered Earth. The Iron Veil drifted in the void, its repairs ongoing, its crew a family forged in fire. Zara stood at the helm, the cylinder a relic now, its data the galaxies. The Unbroken were a movement, their ships a fleet, their name a promise. Ascendancy worlds fell, one by one, not to conquest, but to truth, their people waking, their lies exposed. Zara planned the final strike, a return to Vorin Prime, a broadcast to end the Ascendancy's reign. Jor sharpened his knives. Syl healed, Kale built. The stars waited, and Zara Cade, last of Earth's blades, carried the reckoning forward, her war a song the galaxy would never forget. In the dark, a new signal flickered, tearing coded from a forgotten relay. 5 words, raw and unyielding. Earth's fire burns. Join us. It reached a smuggler's den in the outer reach, where a young pilot, broke and desperate, stared at the feed. The bartender, a grizzled hybrid, snorted. "You're not that stupid." The pilot didn't answer. She keyed the code, and the stars held their breath. The Iron Veil hung in the void, its battered hull cloaked in the shadow of a rogue moon orbiting Vorin. 5. The bridge was a dim sanctuary, lit by the flicker of failing consoles and the steady pulse of the ship's ancient reactors. Zara Cade stood at the helm, her hands steady on the controls, her eyes tracing the faint signal from Kale's bunker. The data cylinder, now relic, sat inert beside her, its contents a wildfire burning through Ascendancy networks. The Unbroken had grown, scattered cells of rebels, exiles, and defectors rallying to the truth she'd unleashed. But the Ascendancy wasn't broken, not yet. Their fleets regrouped, their synths hunted, and their lies, though cracked, still held sway. Jor Rin sat nearby, his arm bandaged, his knives gleaming under the console's light. He didn't speak, but his presence was a tether, grounding Zara against the storm in her mind. Syl's voice crackled through the comms from a distant relay, her tone sharp despite her wounds. "Vorin 5 secure, Cade. Kale's tech is ours. What's next?" Zara's jaw tightened. "Vorin Prime. We finish it." The stars burned cold, and the Iron Veil answered with a low, hungry hum. Vorin 5's bunker was a fortress of ice and steel, its chambers alive with the hum of Terran prototypes, gravity lances, neural disruptors, weapons banned by the Ascendancy for their brutality. Kale, the scientist leading the survivors, moved with a quiet intensity, his neural implants glowing as he integrated the Iron Veil systems with his tech. "These will cut through their shields," he said, his voice soft but certain, gesturing to a rack of sleek, black devices. "But they'll know we're coming." Zara nodded, her gaze hard. "Let them." The Unbroken weren't a secret anymore. Their raids had left scars across Ascendancy space, supply lines severed, outposts dark, entire sectors whispering rebellion. The Iron Veil was their banner, and Zara, whether she wanted it or not, was their blade. Kale's people joined the fleet, their ships patched but fierce, their resolve a mirror of her own. Jor trained them, his knives a blur as he taught them to fight like ghosts. Syl coordinated from a hidden base, her wounds slowing her but not her fire. Zara poured over the cylinder's data, mapping the final strike. Vorin Prime's central AI nexus, the heart of the Ascendancy's control. Destroy it, and their empire would choke on its own lies. The Iron Veil led the Unbroken to the edge of Ascendancy space, a rally point in the shattered orbit of a dead planet. The fleet was a patchwork, scavenged fighters, stolen corvettes, freighters armed with jury-rigged cannons. Not an armada, but a storm. Zara stood on the bridge, addressing the captains via holo, her voice steady. "The Ascendancy thinks they've won. They think Earth's gone. We show them it's not." No cheers followed, only nods, grim and resolute. The Unbroken didn't fight for glory, they fought for memory. A new signal interrupted, faint but Terran-coded, from a derelict station in the Kryn expanse. Zara traced it, her instincts sharp. "Another bunker?" Jur asked, his voice wary. Or a trap, Zara replied, but her hands were already keying the coordinates. The Iron Veil jumped, the fleet trailing, the expanse a maze of radiation and wreckage. The station was a husk, its hull breached, its systems cold. But beneath its surface, a signal pulsed, leading to a sealed vault. Inside, a lone survivor waited, a woman named Vera, her body half-machine, her eyes burning with defiance. I heard your broadcast, she said, her voice a rasp. I kept this safe. She handed Zara a data shard, its contents a map of Ascendancy troop movements. Fresh and precise. How? Zara asked. Vera's smile was bitter. I was their prisoner. I listened. The shard was a gift, but it came with a cost. Ascendancy scouts were closing in, drawn by the station's signal. Zara ordered the fleet to scatter, the Iron Veil diving into the expanse's chaos to lose the hunters. The chase was relentless. Ascendancy since pursued, their ships sleek and silent, their AI relentless. The Iron Veil danced through asteroid fields, its cloak faltering under missile barrages. Zara piloted with a cold precision, her mind a map of the expanse's dangers, radiation spikes, debris clouds, black holes whispering at the edge of sensors. Jor manned the guns, his shots surgical, each lance a wound in the enemy's hull. The fleet regrouped in a nebulous shadow, but the cost was heavy. 3 ships lost, their crews ghosts in the void. Vera's shard proved its worth, guiding them through gaps in the Ascendancy's net. They're scared, Vera said, her voice steady as she patched the Iron Veil's systems. Your broadcast broke their myth. They're hunting you to prove they're still gods. Zara's lips twitched. Gods bleed. The Iron Veil emerged from the nebula, its hull scarred but unbroken, its course set for Vorin Prime. The Ascendancy knew they were coming, but Zara didn't care. Let them prepare. Let them tremble. Vorin Prime loomed, a fortress world of crystal and steel, its orbit a lattice of warships and drones. The Iron Veil led the Unbroken in a brazen charge, no stealth, no hesitation. The Ascendancy's fleets met them, their cannons blazing, but the Unbroken fought like a tide, relentless and chaotic. Zara piloted the Iron Veil through the fire, her lances cutting through dreadnoughts, Kale's weapons shredding shields. Syl's corvettes drew fire, their sacrifice carving a path to the planet's surface. Zara and Jor landed with a strike team, their suits patched, their blades hot. The central nexus was a spire of light, its AI a sentient fortress guarding the Ascendancy's secrets. Synths swarmed, their blades a blur, but Zara fought like a storm, her rifle molten, her thermal blade carving through steel. Jor was a shadow at her side, his knives finding throats, his wounds ignored. Vera and Kale followed, their tech disrupting the Nexus's defenses, their resolve unyielding. The AI spoke, its voice a thunder of code. You are chaos. You will fall. Zara's eyes burned. We're not chaos. We're truth. The Iron Veil's AI, linked through the cylinder, struck, tearing through the Nexus's core. The broadcast surged, a flood of Earth's archives. Every betrayal, every purge, every scream, drowning the Ascendancy's lies. Planets paused, fleets faltered, and the Nexus burned. The escape was a crucible. The spire collapsed, its halls a maze of fire and steel. Zara carried Jor, his legs shattered, his breath ragged. Vera fell, her body shielding Kale, her last act a pulse that fried the synth's network. Kale limped, his implants sparking, his hands still working to save the data. The Iron Veil waited, its hull breached, its ramp a lifeline. Zara dragged her team aboard, the ship roaring as it broke atmosphere. Ascendancy ships, too fractured to pursue. The broadcast didn't stop, it spread, a virus of truth infecting every system, every mind. On Vorin Prime, citizens rioted, soldiers defected, and the Ascendancy's spires darkened. The Unbroken's fleet regrouped in the outer reach, battered but alive, their name now a legend. Zara stood on the bridge, her hands bloodied, her eyes on the stars. We did it, Jor said, his voice weak but fierce. Zara shook her head. We started it. The Ascendancy was crumbling, but its roots ran deep, its leaders hidden in bunkers, their synths still hunting. The war wasn't over, it was evolving. The Iron Veil drifted in the shattered veil, a region of broken stars and silent wrecks. Its repairs were makeshift, its crew a family forged in loss. Zara pored over Vera's shard, its data revealing Ascendancy black sites, labs, prisons, AI forges fueling their war. Kale's tech gave them an edge, his disruptors turning synths to scrap, his lances cracking shields. Syl's fleet grew, her raids a drumbeat across the galaxy. A new signal came, Terran-coded, from a moon called Erix II, another lost colony. Zara traced it, her instincts sharp. Another trap? Jor asked, his voice rough. Another spark, Zara replied. The Iron Veil jumped Erix to a world of storms and secrets. The bunker was a fortress, its occupants a mix of humans and exiles, their leader a former Ascendancy officer named Terran, her eyes haunted but fierce. I defected after your broadcast, she said. I couldn't serve a lie. Her people offered ships, weapons, and intel, locations of Ascendancy commanders, the last architects of Earth's betrayal. Zara studied her, wary but drawn to her fire. You're with us now, she said, and Terran nodded, her loyalty sealed in blood. The Unbroken struck like a plague, their raids surgical, their broadcast relentless. The Iron Veil hit black sites, freeing prisoners, destroying AI cores, spreading the truth. Jor's knives were a lesson in precision, his recruits now a force. Kale's tech evolved, his weapons a nightmare for Ascendancy fleets. Terran's intel guided them to a hidden fortress on Calyx 3, where the Ascendancy was rebuilding Ecliptic Dawn, their superweapon reborn. Zara led the assault, the Iron Veil a spearhead, its lances burning through defenses. The fortress was a labyrinth, its synths smarter, its AI a god of code and steel. Zara fought to the core, her blade a storm, Jor and Terran at her side, Kale's tech their shield. The AI spoke, its voice a void. You cannot unmake us. Zara's reply was a pulse from the Iron Veil's AI, shredding its defenses. They destroyed the weapon, the fortress collapsing, their escape a blur of fire and blood. The Iron Veil survived, its hull a ruin, its crew unbroken. The Ascendancy's hope of annihilation died, but their rage grew. The war was a wildfire now, no longer whispers but open rebellion. The Iron Veil was a symbol, its bridge a council where Zara, Jor, Kale, and Terran planned the final blow. Ascendancy worlds seceded, their people chanting Earth's name, their leaders fleeing. A new signal warned of a last stand, a fleet massing at Vorin Prime, led by a new consul, Krenval, a zealot who swore to erase the Unbroken. Zara didn't flinch. We end it where it started, she said. The Iron Veil led the Unbroken's full fleet, a tide of fury and truth. Vorin Prime was a battlefield, its skies a graveyard of ships, its surface a chaos of fire and steel. Zara landed with her team, fighting through synths and drones, their blades and lances a symphony of defiance. Vol waited in the central spire, his face calm, his eyes burning. You're a relic, he said. Earth is dead. Zara's blade hummed. Earth is us. The fight was brutal, Vol's guards relentless, but Zara was a storm, her team a blade. Vol fell, his spire burning, the Iron Veil's final broadcast a requiem for the Ascendancy's lies. The Iron Veil drifted in the void, its hull a patchwork, its crew a family. Zara stood at the helm, the stars quiet, her hands steady. The Ascendancy was broken, its worlds free, its lies ash. The Unbroken were a nation now, their ships a promise, their truth a light. Jor sharpened his knives, Kale built, Terran planned. A new signal flickered, Terran coded, from a distant relay. Earth's children rise. Join us. It reached a smuggler's den, a young pilot keying the code, her eyes alight. The stars waited, and Zara Cade, Earth's last blade, carried the reckoning forward, her war a song the galaxy would sing forever.